The big thing is the ongoing issues list. I mean, it's one of those things where it always lives. And, we want to operate, our day-to-day, our weekly rhythm, our cadence to solve as much as we can, the things that could take 2 weeks, right? That might not turn into an actual project or a priority that, that could consume us, where we would need to settle in as a collective, because you start looking at, when you take ownership to it and tying up resources for it. That's the biggest thing, right? When you have a magician behind the scenes and, some of our issues that we're trying to tackle, and if we're robbing that resource, and that resource is helping us to build momentum and go from growth to scale, right? We have to understand there's the difference in the two. Growth, we're throwing everything at it, right? Hey, we're trying to maintain a solid profit number, but revenue is growing, but so are expenses. That's growth. Where we get to scale is when we've got a solid foundation of salaries, marketing, and expenses. We're holding firm, but revenues are doing this. That's when we've hit some scale. And, you get into that economies of scale once that gets into that rhythm. And so just kind of looking at where our real issues are. And then, God bless her, talking with Mary a little bit earlier this afternoon, and she's a classic example of not getting really dialed in on the priorities because you're all over the place. And, she's trying to solve, 90-day beyond issues when you've got to be focused on the issues right now. Like, if you don't solve the issues right now, you're not going to have an opportunity to get to that issue that's 90 days out. So that's kind of where in the importance of that ongoing issues list is that it's always running, it's always coming up. And so a lot of the times those symptoms are firing, but yet is that really, is that the real issue that we really need to be paying attention to? And especially, are we gonna, pull some of our most valuable assets and our most valuable resources? And in the beginning, it's us, right? Are we tying ourselves up, or who do we got to go get to help free those things up so we can keep pushing the company forward? And, no matter what size you're at, and as you continue to grow, it's all of those same functions. And because I know you were kind of referencing back to the where we've got Kristen in the fractional COO role. No matter what, you just get to a certain point and you've got people in those functions, but depending upon how fast that growth is how fast you're going to outgrow those people. And I know Michael's on here, and I can pick on him a little bit. And they've grown so fast, and it was like, okay, we're gonna have to replace this, and this, and then real quick we're gonna have to replace this, and then you're gonna have to replace it again. And it's just because when you guys are accelerating in growth, you just outgrow people's capabilities. Remember, get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity for it? Physically, mentally, emotionally, and time bound. And so sometimes we outgrow their capacity. Mentally, we outgrow their capacity emotionally, and sometimes life happens, and so we outgrow that, right? And we believe the best in people. We want to do everything right by our people. However, if somebody is they just don't have that capacity, can you shift them aside? Can you do the right thing? But you also got to get somebody in there that can keep things moving. You don't want it to be a roadblock. For sure. So where it all starts, though, man, to me, it's one of the most powerful things. When you know where you want to go, you've got to pay attention to those issues at all times. And man, that slight little distinction, that's why I had Kristen, to zoom in for us, was okay. What we say we're going to work on is what we have to work on. That's going to help us solve our issues, so they don't become issues anymore.
Well, John, I have a comment to that. What advice do you have? Because I can genuinely say we missed the mark on a couple hires, but for most who we have even outgrown, we felt every single time that they're a great fit, and they have been a great fit. is there ever a balance of like being able to see into the future? Because I mean, systematically, we have outgrown just about everyone but a couple. And is that just how this works, or is there a better way to predict? Would love feedback.
Yeah, man. You know, the one thing that's always resonated me was, you know, Clayton Mass gave us this. He says, man, he says it's ones and threes. People that get you to 1 million are not going to get you to 3. People that get you to 3 are not going to get you to 10. And the only people, and, you know, the question then back to Clayton was, well, Clayton, you're CEO. Like, you know, you go from here to here to here. How come you're able to keep riding with it? He goes, well, you know, maybe I don't at some point. Maybe everything outgrows me at some point. He goes, but I know that I'm dialed in and I'm focused on the growth and driving the company forward. And there can be a few key people that can continue to ride. You know, Mark Chesley with him was CTO. He was a classic example. I mean, he rode with them, you know, all the way through. And, you know, like for you guys, you know, you'll never outgrow you and you'll never outgrow your brother. Now, everybody else possibly might not outgrow Zach, but, you know, Zach's a, you know, he's a unicorn. And, you know, your brother's a unicorn. And so being able to understand that and really at some point, right? Here's another way to think about this too. When you get to a certain point, you specialize so much. In the beginning, you know, we're wearing so many different hats. So even for you, Michael, go back even 2 years ago and think about, you know, the multiple hats you were wearing, the multiple hats Johnny was wearing, the multiple hats, you know, whoever we had in there. And what tends to happen as we grow, we start to shed other responsibilities to where we get into really just kind of almost a niche focus, right? Niche marketing with an emphasis on one particular area, but we need help on the digital side. We need help on the videography side. We need help on the copy side. So it really starts to specialize out the bigger we get. And, you know, always, and this is, I think you guys have done a really good job of this, is making sure their core value fit first. They align to the fit, to the culture. I mean, you guys have built almost like a cult-like following culture, and that's way cool, right? To be able to have that. I mean, they're out there wearing the brand, the swag, proud. And then you go to the other side of the equation of, you know, hey, we need you in this role. Do you get it? Right? Do you really want it? Do you really want to do this? And then you get into the capacity. So where you guys have outgrown some of them is in that, man, they just might not get it at this level. And it gets to a point to where maybe it's too stressful. It doesn't align with them personally. So they really don't want it anymore. And then, you know, sometimes, like I said, we outgrow their capacity. It's not always the same. It's a little bit different. If you've got the core value thing right, then where you outgrow them at some point is the get it, the want it, or the capacity for it.
Too.
Because just think the demand at, you know, at 10 million versus the demand at 1 million, it's completely different. It's a whole different animal. It's a whole different monster. It's not the same. And that's what, you know, where the growth and people just, most people just don't like being uncomfortable like that. And that's where you outgrow them is you outgrow their uncertainty. They just can't handle that amount of uncertainty anymore.
Harry, I look up to you big time. Can you show a little bit of context about pretty much how much these guys in like the past 12 months?
Who, Michael?
Yeah, I'd like to kind of see exactly where they're at.
Yeah. What, Michael?
If you could repeat that, I cut out a little bit.
Shed a little context, pretty much how quick y'all scaled and kind of where you guys were at maybe 12, 18 months ago till now.
May of 2020, we were at 30 people. In January 1 of 20, October of 21, we were at 96.
Wow. How many units y'all rolling?
I think we'll probably do 1,200 this year. The goal was 15, but I think we'll hit 12 this year.
Well, mad props, big dog.
Trying. Some days I want to pull my hair out. Other days I'm like, this is the coolest thing on earth.
It is not a linear path emotionally. That is for sure.
No, absolutely not.
There is ups and there are downs. That is for sure. But, you know, that comes back to the overall vision. And, you know, you guys have all gone through this, and just sharing the story, you know, the experience of going out to Park City and really making sure the whole leadership team was on the same page of the vision. I mean, we talked big picture, almost the entire first day, right? Just making sure that, hey, what do we want this to be? Because we could have easily started going down the wrong path, right? And easily going this direction, which would have just caused so much more friction and headache. But it's getting everybody on the same page of what you want it to be.
Totally.
is the biggest thing.